Class is now in session. I'm Professor Hockey, and today we'll be discussing some pretty exciting news coming out of the San Jose Sharks camp today once again, and that is that they have re-signed restricted free agent forward Thomas Bordeleau, the final RFA holdout on the Sharks roster. This news coming just one day after the Sharks had re-signed restricted free agent defenseman Henry Thrun. And the two contracts that these players received tell a very different story about how the organization actually views each of them. When it comes to Henry Thrun, it was a 2-year deal, $1 million per season. It was quite clear that both Mike Grier and Henry Thrun came to the negotiation table trying to get a contract done. This doesn't really feel like a make it or break it type of move for San Jose and for Henry Thrun, but more so like a bridge deal to see what he is capable of before he signs a more long-term contract with San Jose. On the other hand, we have Thomas Bordeleau's contract, of which was just 1 year. He accepted his qualifying offer. A qualifying offer is something that teams need to give to their restricted free agents so that they do not become unrestricted free agents by July 1st. This was something that happened with Calen Addison. The Sharks didn't really want him anymore. They didn't really want to retain his rights, and so he became a UFA, free to sign with whichever team. The Sharks did want to keep Bordeleau. They gave him a qualifying offer, but it seems to me that Mike Grier didn't really want to actually expand on that any further. Not only did he not give him an actual raise, he only ends up getting the small percentage that a qualifying offer comes with, but he also didn't want to give him term, which screams to me that Bordeleau is kind of on a knife's edge at this point, where this upcoming season is going to be so important when it comes to his future on the San Jose Sharks. If he does not make an impact with the team for this upcoming season, it is very unlikely that Grier will be willing to give him yet another qualifying offer by this time next off-season. Now, Bordeleau, I thought, was already quite good near the end of last year. He was one of the Sharks' better forwards over the last couple of months. He played 27 games, most of them happening through March and April, and he was quite productive. At even strength, he wasn't putting up a ton of actual numbers, but in terms of chances, he was doing some good things, and this is, it must be considered he's not playing with the best of the best forwards that the San Jose Sharks really have to offer, because they don't really have a lot of Sharks solid forwards to offer. At least they didn't this past season, but he did get a good amount of time on the Sharks' top power play unit, where he did have success and made up one of the more successful power play units in the entire league over the last few months of the year. So Bordeleau, one would think he would be able to crack the lineup, but as I mentioned in my early look at the potential forward lines for the Sharks next year, the Sharks have brought in a lot of other bottom six caliber players to increase the level of competition, and the competition might not necessarily be all that fair for Bordeleau. He's going to have a lot of hurdles to jump over to even be able to make it to the top 12 of the Sharks lineup this upcoming year. But as I also mentioned in that forward line video, it seems to me that the Sharks should be looking to try and get Bordeleau into the lineup, especially when you consider how solid he was down the stretch last year, because the Sharks are in no position to sort of throw away their young players. They're in the middle of a rebuild. They want to be able to get as much value as possible, and they don't want to end up in a Buffalo Sabres type of situation where they end up missing the playoffs for 10 plus years in a row. If they actually want to come out of this in a reasonable amount of time, they can't afford to allow the prospects who are actually looking decent to just fall by the wayside, because even though they have a lot of promising players currently through the junior leagues and the AHL and things like that, there is no saying that those are guarantees. Those are players who at the end of the day may never even play more than a couple of games at the NHL level or ever even become a decent NHL forward. So when you have in your hands a player who has shown to be capable at the NHL level and who is quite young and who could still be on your team 5 years from now when you're hoping to be competitive in the playoffs, you don't really want to just have them tossed away without giving them a fair shot. And this upcoming season does seem like it should be that fair shot opportunity for Bordeleau. Obviously, he does have to show up in training camp. He does have to show up in preseason and play well, but he shouldn't have to be, the best player in the league just to be able to earn a lineup spot over some of the players that the Sharks have littering their bottom six this next season, like Luke Cunnin and Barclay Goodrow. If he plays like he did at the end of last year, there really shouldn't be all that many obstacles in front of him, and I hope he can actually prove himself over a full season where he should be playing with better players. Sure, that first power play unit, he probably won't crack that. There's a lot bigger names on the Sharks this upcoming season, but the second power play unit could be quite good with him there, and on the third line even, he would be playing with a lot better players as well. So this is going to be a very interesting season for Bordeleau. hopefully he actually is given the chance for him to show himself, and at that point, we can only wait and see at this point. Class dismissed.